Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about progress notes. So first I'm going to talk about kind of the logistics and timeline of when you do these. And then next I'm going to talk about how to physically do it kind of in Cerner. And then lastly, and this is mainly for the med students, but I'm going to be talking about some tips of like what to put in the note and kind of how to do the note. Um, so first, so after you do chart review, or even when you're doing your chart review in the morning, and before rounds, those are generally like say 9:30 or 10 a.m. You can start the note, or you should start the note. And then after rounds, the most important things are to put in the orders for your patients first, and then do the discharges of any patients you might be discharging. And then after that, then and you need to eat lunch sometime in there too. But then after that, then you would do your progress notes. So generally, most of the attendings like them done by like noon or 1 or something, or basically like early afternoon. Um, so that's that. And then second, I'm going to go over how to physically do the note in Cerner. So as you can see, you guys probably talked about this during your orientation, but you have kind of this panel on the right-hand side where you can basically write your note while doing chart review. And so that's helpful. One other thing I wanted to add was you can get the app. I don't think med students can do this, but if you're a resident, you can get the app on the phone and then you can dictate on the floor. I sometimes did that. I don't, you can see if that's helpful for you or not. It is definitely helpful to have that, and just like during rounds, if you're doing walking rounds, you can reference the patient's chart. You can even put in some orders. It's kind of a hassle on the phone to put in orders, but you could do that. Um, so yeah, that's that. And then let's see, as far as this, if it's not pulling up for you, um, let me do an example. So we go down here, you'll see these little buttons here. If you don't see, so for example, like right now, I just deleted the assessment and plan part of this. Go on this column here, and then go down to assessment and plan, click on it, and then you'll see that same button here, and then just click on it, and then it adds it back to this right-hand column. And then you can have everything here, and you can like reorder these. I think this is the standard order though that you would want. Um, so if you decide to make the note like this, because you can either make the note, or yeah, you can either do the note like this, or you could just go to documents and just make a note that way. But if you decide to do it this way, then you go to the bottom and then click on select other note, and then click progress note. Here, click, oh, whoops, I need to switch to here. And then click, so it's progress note generic, progress note. Um, and then you would click like open, and then you basically just sign it from there. Let me go back here. Okay, so that's kind of how you sign the note and submit it and everything. So next, and this is all mainly for the med students, but it might help the interns as well. So some tips and stuff on how to write the actual note. So some people, I don't always do this, but some people find it helpful to keep like a running summary of the hospitalization at the top or just somewhere in the note. It's not really helpful if your patient's only in the hospital for say 2 days, like it won't help you too much, but say your patient's here for like a week, uh, or like 2 to 3 weeks or longer, then it's pretty helpful just as you're going, add kind of the major events. We'll talk about a hospital discharge summary in a different video, but that's what some people like doing. And then the main part of the HPI is like what happened overnight and what's kind of the HPI for today, how the patient's feeling. Um, Going down to the ROS. The only thing I have to say about this is if you're a med student and you're asking a bunch of ROS questions, some of the like doctors or residents might be comfortable with this, but I'm generally, like say a resident puts in a really detailed ROS and there are questions that I didn't ask the patient, I'll generally just delete it and put in my own. Um, so I would say just go minimal on this. I would just use something like this, which basically I think most people do this. It basically just says see the HPI for the ROS, like anything relevant's gonna be in the HPI. So it's kind of saying like disregard that. That's what I would recommend doing. And then just because I've seen medical students do that, and then um, yeah, like I said, I have to kind of delete it because I'm like, hey, I didn't ask the patient that question, so I can't sign off on it just because they don't have a medical license. And then the physical exam, kind of the same thing. I would say, I mean, definitely if you don't, and this is something I've seen multiple times, so that's why I'm saying this, but if you didn't examine a certain part of the patient's body, then don't put it in your exam. Um, I would use, this is what I use. Um, whoops. So it's a pretty simple one. So in any patient who's hospitalized, I always listen to the heart and lungs, and then I always look at their ankles and kind of feel for edema. Other than that, the rest of the exam is just visual. I've seen people's exams where it's got like neck, and then it says that they felt the neck and all this stuff that they didn't actually do. So just keep it mostly visual, except the most important things. And then obviously, if I do an abdominal exam or a more detailed neuro exam, then I'll add that on. Um, so that's that. And then lastly, for the assessment and plan, um, here the most important thing I would say is just to be accurate. And this is something I've seen with med students, is maybe they don't fully understand and this is kind of speculating of what's going on, but I'm kind of thinking maybe they didn't understand what was fully going on with the patient. And then they were kind of too afraid to ask to clarify. And then so I read their note and it's kind of doesn't make sense. And then it has some things that are inaccurate in it. So if something doesn't make sense, definitely ask one of the, or like you'll be kind of paired under like an intern or resident or whatever. So definitely ask them if something doesn't make sense, and we should be happy to clarify anything. Um, and then this is kind of the basic, you can do this however you want. It doesn't really matter at all, but most people will do the assessment kind of typed out just in like a paragraph or sentences, and then the points of their plan they'll put with these like dashes or parentheses, um, or I mean hyphens. And then it makes it kind of easy to read, like, because it's like a list of the things you're doing. Like, oh, today we're ordering an X-ray, an EKG, we're having them on antibiotics. And so I think that's all I have for this video. So it's kind of quick on just how to do progress notes.